Would all agreed. You're not welcome at Christmas. Those words still ring in my ears, like a song I never wanted to hear, but can't stop replaying. They came from my mother's voice, calm, almost rehearsed, but the silence that followed was worse. My father didn't speak. My sister avoided eye contact. It was a family decision, they said. And just like that, I wasn't part of the family anymore. I remember standing there, in the kitchen, clutching my phone so tightly my knuckles turned white. The smell of cinnamon and pine, the scent that had always meant Christmas at home, was replaced by something sharp and sour: betrayal. You don't expect your parents to shut you out. Not after everything you've done for them. But this story doesn't start there. It starts 3 years earlier, when everything seemed perfect. I grew up in a small town where family was everything. My parents weren't rich. They built a good life. My father ran a small hardware business that had been in our family for generations. When I finished college with a degree in finance, I turned down job offers in the city and came home to help Dad modernize the business. We worked hard. I set up online systems, helped with marketing, managed the accounts. Within a year, the business doubled its profits. My father called me his right-hand man. My mother said she'd never been prouder. Then my sister Emily came back from abroad. She'd always been the golden child, charming, carefree, loved by everyone. But she had a habit of spending money faster than she could make it. She'd been in and out of jobs, relationships, and trouble. When she returned home, broke again, my parents welcomed her with open arms. At first, family helps family, right? But soon, she started making suggestions. At work, she wanted to help with the finances. She said she could lighten my load. It sounded innocent enough, until I noticed irregularities. Small transfers at first, labeled as miscellaneous expenses, then larger amounts. When I confronted her, she laughed it off, said it was just temporary, that Mom and Dad knew. They didn't, at least not at first. When I told my parents about it, I expected them to be shocked. Angry maybe. But instead, my mother sighed and said, "You don't understand what she's been through. She just needs time." My father nodded along, uncomfortable. I couldn't believe it. She had stolen from the family business, and they were making excuses for her. Still, I let it go. I kept working, hoping things would get better. Tension grew. Every conversation turned into an argument. Every decision I made was questioned. And then, last December, the breaking point came. It was early December when Dad asked me to finalize the company's year-end reports. When I opened the accounts, I froze. Tens of thousands were missing, transferred quietly over months, all signed under my login credentials. My blood ran cold. Emily had access. I'd let her use my computer once, months ago. She must have kept the password. I gathered the records and confronted my family that night. We sat in the living room, the Christmas tree glowing in the corner. I laid everything out, the documents, the bank statements, the evidence. I expected shock, outrage, maybe even an apology. Instead, my mother stood up, crossed her arms, and said, "You're making this into something it's not. Emily was trying to help. You're twisting things to make her look bad." I stared at her in disbelief. My father avoided my eyes again. Emily just smirked, as if she'd already won. "Do you even hear yourselves?" I shouted. "She's draining the business. The same business Grandpa built with his own hands." But they were done listening. My mother's face turned cold. "If you can't be part of this family without attacking your sister, maybe it's better if you don't come around for Christmas." I thought it was just anger speaking. Then came the message the next day. A family group text for Mom. We all agreed. "You're not welcome at Christmas this year." 2. I didn't reply. I didn't beg. I logged into the business accounts, the same ones I had built from scratch. The ones registered legally under my name. Because I had invested my savings when the company was struggling. I froze every account, every card, every line of credit. It wasn't revenge, it was protection. An hour later, my father called, furious. "Did you do?" he yelled. "What I should have done months ago," I said quietly. "You can't keep enabling her." For a moment, there was silence. Then he said something that still haunts me. "You're tearing this family apart." But the truth was they'd already done that. The days that followed were brutal. My mother sent message after message, begging me to fix things. For the family's sake. Emily called me names, told me I'd regret it. My father stopped speaking to me altogether. But deep down, I knew I was doing the right thing. I gathered the financial records and went to an attorney. We filed to officially separate the business accounts under my legal ownership and froze transactions pending investigation. It wasn't easy. The guilt ate at me. There were nights I stared at the Christmas lights in my apartment and wondered if I'd gone too far. If maybe I was the bad guy. But then, 2 months later, I got a letter from the bank. They had traced several transfers Emily had made to her personal account overseas. Clear as day, the evidence was undeniable. When I showed it to my parents, my mother broke down crying. My father looked years older. Emily packed her bags and left the next day. It wasn't victory. It was heartbreak. This year, Christmas looks different. There's no big dinner, no laughter in the living room. My parents and I are slowly rebuilding trust. They've apologized, though some wounds still sting. Emily hasn't reached out. Maybe she's not ready, or maybe she never will. But here's what I've learned: family isn't about blind loyalty. It's about love built on truth. Sometimes, doing what's right for the people you love means being the one who stands up. Even if you have to stand alone. If you're listening to this and you've ever felt like the problem for setting boundaries, know this. Protecting yourself isn't cruelty, it's courage. And maybe next Christmas, we'll all sit together again. Not pretending, not walking on eggshells, but as a family that faced its darkness and came out stronger. Because forgiveness isn't forgetting, it's choosing peace after the storm. And that's exactly what I've chosen. 2. Moral of the story: sometimes, love means saying no. Sometimes, family means learning to start over, not from guilt, but from growth. And sometimes, the coldest Christmas can lead to the warmest heart in the end.